All right, welcome back to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter, Henry, Bryan, Fonseca here, episode 26 in full effect. And we haven't had a guest in a little bit, but we got a guest with us today, good friend of mine and Bryan. He is part of the Netsdaily family. He is.
You want to explain this first?
Oh yeah, if you're watching this podcast and you do not see the Ain't Hard to Tell logo behind us, we have not changed our name. We are not just a Blackboard podcast, but we just had some technical difficulties. If you want to say that, I ain't gonna blame no people.
I am. Somebody messed with our stuff.
Just so you know, it's not our production crew. It's nothing to do with Matt.
No, it's none of us here.
I know.
It's nothing to do with Maddie P, who's here.
Whatever.
And we
I
have
got to stare at Pooch's gold chain today.
We got Mike, who we call Chaz, in the building here today with us, helping us out in production. But our guest, now that I've explained all that, and he's wondering why we had to explain all that.
You know what I mean? I got to make sure we don't.
Yeah, but you just killed our guest's introduction.
He'll be all right.
Okay.
How you doing, Pooch?
I'm doing great.
It's Anthony Puccio, also known as Pooch, from Netsdaily, writer from Netsdaily, hardworking writer.
That's right.
One of the best dressed men in the reporting game. Always bringing it with the suits at the game. Always. I should call you Suit Man.
I'm called Suits at the game. Then.
Suits at the game? That's what they call you at the game now?
That's
Suits. If you see this man at Barclays Center, you'll know who Suits is.
Yeah.
And he is, I believe, we were trying to confirm this. We're not 100% sure, but we believe he is our first Italian-American guest that we have had on this podcast.
Dex, we're going to say Sicilian.
Sicilian.
Just out of respect
oh,
for my
okay.
Sicilian, respect out of my
You know what? You know what, man? Sicilian, because we want to respect exactly where your people are from in Italy.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Before we get, you are very proud of your Italian culture, as you should be.
For sure. I mean, it's not common that you have your whole family come down from the same town, which is Corleone, Sicily.
Corleone, Sicily.
Like
I don't know
Don
if he gets more Italian than that.
So exactly. So
be careful.
No. Look, we're clean. We're clean.
I'm careful. Our boy Mike Scotto would agree on that. Shout out to him. He'll laugh at that. Shout out to Mike Scotto from The Athletic.
For sure, Scotto.
Yeah. So, Pooch, how are you doing? You and Bryan did a lot of coverage. I didn't do as much this year, but you just wrapped up another year of covering the Nets. Tell everybody about that, how you got into working with Netsdaily. You're one of the youngest writers in the game here in New York City. Tell everybody about your start, how you got into that.
Yeah, man. So when I was 6 years old, my pops took me to New Jersey, to a New Jersey Nets game, and that's when they had Jason Kidd. He said to me, watch number 5 on the Nets. He said, I want you to learn ball from him. So from that day on, I fell in love with basketball, and just watched the Nets throughout my whole life. I played basketball competitively in AAU, as I've mentioned to Bryan several times.
We were talking about this in the car.
Yeah, guys like, dudes like Isaiah Whitehead. I trained with Tobias Harris and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and just, over time, just fell in love with the game. And, complications in life, obviously. Some tough times happened. My dad got sick. He got laid off from his job in 2008. And HBO did a movie on us. And, it was about how we were losing our house and how my dad was sick and just, again, like tough times. That at that time I was only 15, 16 years old. I had cameras in my face and things like that. So I think that adversity kind of pushed me to try and figure out, like, how do I make sure this doesn't happen to me in the future? How do I find something that I love to do? Because to this day, this is 10 years later, my pop still hasn't found a job on Wall Street. So, it's not even something that he loved to do. So it's like, how do I find something that I'm passionate for, that I love to do, that I can hopefully make a career out of and keep going? So when I was a senior in high school, I figured, I watch every Nets game at this point, right? I might as well start writing about it.
Why not?
I reached out to a bunch of writers. Not many got back to me, but Tom Lorenzo of Netsdaily got back to me.
Tom, man.
And nobody better, man. Nobody better. And he just said, I wasn't looking for a handout or anything like that. It was just more, lead me on the right path, give me some advice how I could get my foot in the door. And he said, you're young, you're good at what you do, but, just stay at it and circle back around, build up a portfolio. And, it started with a Microsoft Word document. And I really just recapped every game. I did some features on my own, and I circled back to him a year later. I was 18 years old, starting my first year of college, and here we are 5 years later.
Yeah, that was 2013. I met you in 2013.
Yeah.
I think I started with Netsdaily doing stuff in February 2013. I think I met you around then. I used to see Pooch at the games, grinding hard, making his connections. Even back then, at 18, he was the suit man at the Nets game.
Man.
I wasn't calling him suits then, but he was the suit man at the Nets game.
I didn't have the Goodfellas line. Just yet.
But yeah, and then obviously, Brian's coming to the fold, a couple years with Netsdaily and you. I like to bring this up before like Bryan asks a couple questions. For people that don't know, I feel like people don't know, like the Netsdaily family, all of us, we talk a lot, we have fun at the games, we do what we do, and we have such a great community that supports us there with that platform. I don't want to speak for myself, I know Bryan can say it too, but how has it been for you, just covering the team for 5 years? You've seen some ups when they first started playing in Brooklyn and then downs, but how has it been for you and just the experience of interacting with the fans and everything? How's that been?
It's been great. I mean, obviously, when I first started, they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
That was the team with Paul Pierce and KG, and, things were a lot different. Billy King was running the team. Different coaches, Jason Kidd, Lionel Hollins. But,
Damn, we've seen a lot.
A whole lot. A whole lot of turnover, a whole lot of different players, man. A lot that aren't even in the league anymore.
Yeah.
But, now the fact that they have a direction, they have a young group of guys that are really likable, and just the fact that the fans see that there is direction, that there's a plan, I think they're a little more optimistic than I've ever seen them, even when they did make the playoffs. So interacting with the fans is obviously, they're not going to agree with you at all times, but it's pretty cool to see like Nets fans coming together, even though they haven't had a winning season in 4 years. It's really, really cool to see. And I hope something special blossoms from this when they are good one day.
All right, we'll get to that a little bit more too. But yeah, that is. We're hoping for that too, Nets fans. We know you're hoping for that.
It sounds like they're going down the right path, but I want to know more about just you growing up in Long Island and what's that been like. I mean, we've talked about your background in AAU basketball. We both, I think all three of us actually came up playing basketball. Yeah. So your experiences with that, because I know something about that, but I feel like the people might not know,
And Pooch, where are you from in Long Island?
Wantagh.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Wantagh, okay.
Wantagh, yeah. So I grew up in Queens. Well, I was born in Queens, lived there for 7 years. I moved out to Long Island. And, I was shooting hoops one day outside of my house when my neighbor, who had played Division I basketball, actually at St. Francis, his basketball coach, his AAU coach, came over, swung by, was picking them up. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was probably like 7, 8 years old, like I said. And, he went up to my dad and he said, I want the young one. He said, I want the young one. So I started playing in some competitive tournaments. I started playing, I played up at a really young age. I was like 7, 8 years old playing with guys probably 15, 16 years old.
Oh, you're one of those.
So,
all right.
That's how you get stronger and better.
Yeah, I almost felt like it was like a G League kind of thing. Like I was like that two-way player, right? Like practicing with I was with the young
old
guys.
dudes. They send you down little kids and you just start dunking on them. Yeah. Crazy.
So as time got old, went on. I was playing with dudes like even Danny Green, like I said, like
from Long Island.
Yeah, because he's from Long Island, and we were going into. We didn't play ball in Long Island. We only practiced in Long Island. My team was centered in Long Island, but we were going to Queens, we were going to Brooklyn, we were going to the Bronx. We're playing in some of the toughest tournaments, and just learning how like the game of basketball was and how different it was from Long Island. Like you weren't walking in there and playing soft, or else you're getting called out on it. You know what I mean? Like they were going at you and they were talking a lot. So from a young age, I learned like. I got to come in here with a pair, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So,
with a pair.
But, as I got older, I from my age group with my team, I really excelled. I was playing real well. I was playing against guys like I said, Isaiah Whitehead in AAU tournaments like ISA.
Did he remember
you? Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
We got him in a couple championships. He got us in a few. He was on the Juice All Stars.
Yep, I remember covering. I'm surprised I never saw you covering, because I used to cover a lot of stuff around ISA and some other tournaments.
Well, you might have.
I probably did. I probably was covering you. I probably wrote.
I'm sure you.
You
Since I was a little kid.
You remember a dude playing ball in a suit?
Nah, see, that I don't remember that. Yo, you the guy with the killer crossover, the suit with the little gold chain. Yeah, I would have remembered that guy. Nah, but it sounds like those are good times, and I think what Brian's alluding to that made you sort of who you are.
Yeah.
For sure. And like I said, like as I got older, then I started playing with kids my age, right? Like for my first 5 years of playing basketball, I was always playing with older kids.
Yeah.
Then I started playing with kids my age, and I was setting all types of records, whether it be in Queens and Brooklyn, wherever it might be. And then I was coming back to Long Island.
Like scoring
records.
Okay.
Scoring records. And, still hold some of those records. And I was coming back to Long Island and shredding people up. I came back in
Yo, Pooch is letting y'all know out there in Long Island. Come to Wonton and play me one-on-one.
I'm gonna give you straight up facts right here. So, 8th grade comes around, and I set the record for my school's all-time points in a season, most points in a game, like most points per game, and
all these records still stand?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and
we gotta look those up.
Yeah.
We're going to fact check that.
We're going to fact check.
Call my old middle school coach. But, high school came around, and with my high school, there was a lot of politics. And unfortunately, there's a lot of that in just
journalism?
In anywhere.
Well, you can say it, sports journalism. Yeah.
Sports journalism and basically everything. And, basically, they didn't like that. I was playing in some tough parts of New York City and coming into Long Island, coming into the gym. I had my shorts hanging a little bit low, and I was a little bit different. I played street ball.
You were a little too urban for them.
Yes, I was too urban.
Unquote,
or you know what quote unquote that means though. I'll say you're too black. You were being a little almost you were ingratiating yourself too much with the black people that you were playing with for them. That's what they're saying. When
they
did.
Let Dexter.
They
talk
didn't
for
like
you.
that.
Let Dexter talk for you.
They didn't like that.
I got your back, Pooch. I got your back.
What I'm saying?
I got your back.
So when I came back to Long Island, like I set all these records, and I was like, I didn't expect anything handed to me, but it was like, all right, like, give me the rock when I get to high school, and we'll do the right thing. We'll win games. Our brand, our team, our school hadn't won a county championship in over like 15 years. So I was like, let's do it. I was ready to take over. And my coach told me, nah, you're not trying out. You don't put the work in. That was my freshman year.
Okay.
So they put the guy that was backing me up, who was actually one of my good friends. So it's tough to like talk bad about these people. I'm not talking even bad about them, but the system was just so messed up that, I sucked up a year on JV. I worked my ass off. I did what I had to do, and then 10th grade came around, and I was like, all right, like let's do it. Yeah, I played summer league. Like I played well in summer league, and I went to all the training camps. And I texted the coach, and I was like, let's do this. Like, what time of tryouts? When are they? Et cetera, et cetera. And he said, you're not trying out. He said, I'm not letting you try out. Again. Huh. So I said, hold on. I said, I want to get on the phone with the AD. This is like, what is this about?
Damn, you even knew to try to contact the AD at that
That's
time?
smart.
Yeah. I don't know if I would have thought of that.
Yeah.
So it actually got worse from there. The AD called me up, and he said, you think you're entitled? He said, you think you're better than everybody? You don't put the work in? I was like, what are you talking about? I've been to all the open gyms. So it was a thing like that. So since I was a freshman year of high school, the dude that was my backup point guard in middle school when I was breaking all these records, he was on varsity from 9th grade to 12th grade. Because he was their 3-sport athlete. So I'm sitting there, and I'm watching these games as a freshman. I'm scoring at least 15 to 20 points a game. And then, I'm saying, what more can I do, right? Like,
right.
Yeah, realistically,
it was like, it's not like I could even say like they're racist against me, but it was like a thing of they didn't like who I was, they didn't like the style of ball that I played, they didn't like that I had some swagger. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And 10th grade came around, and this is when my pops was sick and he lost his job, and the HBO was doing all this stuff, and these are some really, really hard times for me, and. The one thing that I loved, the one thing I really, really loved was basketball. That was the one thing I had, and these people took it away from me. And in 10th grade, I quit. And I played AAU throughout high school. Like I said, I trained with Tobias Harris. I trained with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Bria Hartley, who's in the WNBA. I could go on for days. At Jerry Powell, I was training with them, playing with them, and it was just such a shame. I don't know if you guys ever seen the documentary Searching for Sugar Man. But
no.
That's how I feel like.
Would it be on HBO Go now?
It'd be Hulu. If you got Hulu, you can check it out.
All right.
But it was like in the hood in Queens and Brooklyn and the Bronx, like I was known. But when I went out to Long Island, nobody knew me because I never got to show what I was worth.
What did it feel like that you were in these spaces where you accepted by where you were probably most times playing basketball, you were the minority, you know, most times I'm assuming on some of these AAU teams, just from covering it, you're a white guy, Italian, playing on these AAU teams. And I know because we've talked about your community in Wantagh, but in those spaces, you're the minority. You're going to places in Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens. You're playing ball in some of these places with a minority. But home, where you're more so around your people to say they're not showing you the love. And what I think you were alluding to is because some of it is because you were associating with people that did not look like the people that were where you were from. How'd that make you feel? And what did you maybe learn about just personally for you accepting others and bringing other different people into your fold in your career?
It helped me understand the way people think and how like I don't know if it's narrow-minded or ignorant that they could be.
It's ignorant.
It's ignorant. It's completely ignorant.
And narrow-minded.
And narrow-minded.
You know, and like it's not even like I quit in 10th grade. Like I still tried to play. Like I played summer league that next season, going into my junior year, and I wasn't getting no time. Like I wasn't playing at all. Like he was just benching me. Like he just did not want to play me. And he had this, you know, these guys playing, and no disrespect to them, but they never
they
won.
Weren't touching
they
you.
never won.
We'll say.
It wasn't hot.
You know, it again, like for where we're at right now as a country and everything, like it helped me learn at a young age that, you know, people got to get off the island and see what else is out there. That it's not just.
Just in your neighborhood. That goes for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to see more.
Yeah,
than
we
just
were talking about this too on the way here.
Yeah.
I know we got to go to break, but we were talking about this on the way here about the importance of just going out and seeing the world and things like that, because you see these other things. Because a lot of people, you know, if your parents are stuck in their own ways, you might grow up the same way, and that's how a lot of people just kind of follow suit. And
that's
act that way.
and that's for everybody.
This kind of reminds me of the story of and this is crazy comparing you to Mike Tomlin. But Mike Tomlin, he was going to become the head coach of the Miami Dolphins at one point, but they were going to offer him the job at one point, and they said that he was too hip-hop to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
This is before he was with the
like,
Steelers and everything.
I think
that's a true story.
I think that's a good comparison because that statement was ridiculous, too.
So basically, you were too hip-hop
I
for
feel like
Long
you
Island.
might have been too hip-hop.
I was.
For Wantagh.
and you know, like from a young age, like just even like I would walk into the CYO gym when I was in 4th, 5th grade, and I would have a flat top on, and people at the church in the CYO league would be like, they would be like,
nah, don't do that to him. They'd
be like, yo, you got to take that off. Like, you know, like they would be looking at my parents like there was something wrong with them. You know, like they raised me wrong or something. It was like, no. It's just that, you know,
this is my swag.
You know, this is who I am, and I'm proud of it. And it's not even a thing of, for me, white versus black or anything like that. It was just, I love to play basketball, the culture of the game. The best players were in the boroughs. That's where I played. That's where I learned how to play. Yeah. When I went back to Long Island, I wanted to show. I put on for my I wanted to put on for my team. I wanted to put on for my high school, and they didn't let me. So, I mean, look, you know, it is what it is. You don't look in the past, but I think it's helped me.
No, but it's good to hear about
everything happens for
a reason. It's good to hear that background story. All right, we heard a little bit about Pooch. We come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Nets, which Puccio covers. We're going to talk about some hip-hop, which Puccio loves too. And we will embrace him for his love of hip-hop, unlike you folks out there in Wantagh who are doing wrong. Yeah, I'm calling y'all out.
Let's not get him in trouble.
I'm trying to get him in trouble. Maybe I'll get in trouble. Maybe I can't visit Wantagh. Robert Kraft, and he visited somebody very interesting this week. And what's going on with Reid and getting a job in the NFL? More on that when we come back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. What's up, listeners? You know sometimes how it can be hard just to get from point A to point B. Now, when I have to get anywhere and I don't want to deal with the hassle of public transportation, it ain't hard to tell how I get around. I always make sure to use the best car service app in the game. I'm talking about Lyft. Lyft offers rides in minutes. All you have to do is download the Lyft app, request a ride, and you will be on your way quickly. Lyft is all about happy riders and happy drivers. Take a ride with them and you'll see why 9 out of 10 rides end up with a 5-star rating. Lyft always has amazing offers for new customers, and I'm here to tell our listeners about a great offer today. Lyft is currently offering free ride credit to Ain't Hard to Tell listeners. If you are new to Lyft, then you are eligible, and getting your credit is easy. All you have to do is download the app and use the promo code AHTT-POD to unlock your free credit today. Ain't hard to tell who has the best car app service, so use the code today and ride out loud with Lyft. The best new sports web series is here. It's from Backpack Broadcasting, and it's called The Sports Walk. The Sports Walk is a series where diverse sports fans take a walk and share their views at the intersection of sports and society. The entire first season is now available on Backpack Broadcasting's YouTube channel and backpackbroadcasting.com. See what other sports fans have to say about a variety of issues in the world of sports. Watch all 13 episodes from season 1 and take the Sports Walk today. All right, welcome back to Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, episode 26. Dexter Henry here, Bryan, Fonseca, and our guest, Anthony Puccio. We know him as Pooch, Netsdaily reporter, official suit rocker. And there's a note. I actually don't know about this, so I just want to get this real quick. You were listed here in notes by Bryan as an organ hater.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, man, you're getting started on the organ.
We're open with that? All right.
What's up with that?
Let me give you some background. So basically,
who hates the organ?
When we cover not the body part, but like
I thought it was like the music. I was thinking the musical instrument. I think who hates their organs, like the musical. I assume we're talking about like an organist, right?
So basically, right. When we cover Nets games, people who may or may not have seen us, we sit together, obviously, because Nets Daily team.
I don't sit with you.
Squad, you know what I'm saying? So when we're up there, we talk during the games, and sometimes at Barclays Center they'll play the hip hop, sometimes they'll play the organ, whatever. And the organ is cheesy. It sounds like Madison Square Garden, Atlanta, like others places that do that. Hold on, Dex. Hold on, because I know you're about to get in your bag. I know you're getting in your bag. But anytime
you kind of saved yourself on one thing.
They'll play Flavor in Your Ear, when they'll play Kick in the Door, when they'll play One Love, you know what I mean? These old school hip hop songs. It sounds good. It sounds like what a arena in Brooklyn should be playing during a basketball game, instead of an organ that tries to play like I put my hands up in the air sometime. You know what I'm saying? So we don't like it. Pooch definitely doesn't like it, and he said this on Twitter. I don't either.
Wait, so here's my question for this that I don't know. Do the Nets? I remember hearing this, and I think I had a feeling similar to what you guys had too. But the Nets, they don't have an actual organist that plays, do they? Or is it just some pre-recorded?
I'm pretty sure they have an organist that came with them from the Islanders.
Okay.
Look, there's an organ somewhere.
Okay. This is what I'm going to say. Well, you say, I'll let you speak. Why don't you like? You don't like the organ because.
And going back to our first segment, that organ ain't hip hop. Like I wanted, like.
Why? You got organ samples in hip hop.
That ain't a real. No. But I'm saying that organ. When you listen to it and the things like
so is your problem? Hold on, yes, because there's a difference here, guys. Is the problem with the organ or the problem with the organist? Because maybe the organist doesn't have enough flavor when he's playing the organ. That's what I'm saying.
There's a whole thing behind this that I think it's more about who the Nets have to target and what the Brooklyn basketball brand is all about, right?
So you say the Brooklyn basketball fan doesn't like organs?
It's not so much that. It's more that.
You're being mean right now. You know what I'm saying?
I am.
So the Brooklyn Nets, they gotta. When you're an older basketball fan, you're probably gonna root for the Knicks because they were the only team to root for. The Nets were in Jersey,
especially if you're from Brooklyn. I agree with that. Yes.
Right. So the people that they have to appeal to are either younger kids, millennials, and I feel like in order for you to establish a brand, establish your own, like you go with what your brand is, right? Like what works for who you're targeting, obviously. And when I played in the boroughs, I didn't hear no organ. I went there, and I'm not saying you go, you got to put 50 Cent, cursing and doing all this stuff. But even just instrumentals, like Bryan saying, top billing by Audio 2, just the instrumental while the guys are dribbling up. And they did that the first couple of years in Brooklyn.
I liked it.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, and they still do it sometimes.
I'll never forget
that much.
All game.
I like that.
Yeah, and nothing too complicated. It doesn't even have to be too crazy. But I feel like that's what the brand was when I went to go play ball in Brooklyn, especially in the projects at Africa Park. It was like, that's what you heard when you were warming up. That's what got you amped up, and that's what they did the first couple of years in Brooklyn before the Islanders came. So I almost feel like
before the Islanders came, did the Islanders mess it up?
That's what you're kind of saying.
That's why they have the
Long
organ.
Island messing up again. This is 2 segments in a row.
so-
Long Island's messing up.
And of course, hockey is affecting basketball in some negative way.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
No comment from me there.
But you have all these beats. You have you if you play beats from even guys like just guys from Brooklyn like Biggie and
Yeah, I always like that. I
a-
like that connection.
right, like
you could play
you
the
play
new
some
stuff.
Most Def, like some underground stuff.
And
that
you can
isn't
play
even
some
like
of the
that
newer
popular.
stuff too. You can play Bodak
Yeah.
Yellow. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you can play that.
But we
shit.
like
Bodak
that. Like you
Yellow.
said, you like hearing the Beastie Boys. You like hearing some Big.
Yeah.
You like hearing some Jay. Different artists from Brooklyn. I think, look, artists from Brooklyn should be paid. I understand your
New York
point.
in general.
I will say this. As a Knicks fan, for shocking news for you Nets fans out there who don't know I'm a Knicks fan, who act all crazy when they meet me that I'm a Knicks fan.
Yeah, they act so crazy when they meet me because I'm not a fan of anybody.
Yeah. Well, no, and this is a Knicks fan who always wants to see the Nets do good. I enjoy the organ at the Garden. I enjoy it. Now, I've seen other arenas try to adopt use of the organ, and it always doesn't feel, no pun intended here, organic to me. Okay? It doesn't feel organic to me. Right? LA does it pretty good when they use it. The Knicks do it pretty good. The Lakers,
Atlanta is really good too.
Atlanta is okay. It's all right to
I
me.
think he's good. Like he's talented.
Yeah.
So
See, and that's why I was bringing up the point about the organ and the organist. You got to put some flavor into playing the organ. If you don't, it's not going to work. The Brooklyn thing, I understand where you're coming from, where it's a little forced, and I think it doesn't necessarily fit the brand. I think you make all good points about.
So it's gentrified.
and
yeah.
and like you said, like the Nets have.
And you shouldn't be doing what the Knicks are doing.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's just
Like
a mistake.
from day one,
I mean, it's not a model of consistency you want to copy in any kind of way.
Right. From day one, they've tried to separate those brands so much that they had a billboard of Prokhorov outside of Dolan's office, saying "Blueprint for Greatness." So, how are you going to, kind of copy their
I agree.
their
It's
same
corny.
style? So
I'm with
it's
that.
almost like go with what worked the first couple of years because people really liked it.
All right, I'm rocking with that. All right, we're going to move on to another topic. I'm with you on the organ. I'm glad you guys cleared that up for me because I was like, I thought there's some organ haters over here.
We've had some heated discussions.
Heated discussions about the organ.
Listen,
Netsdaily fans, they'll get heated discussions about it.
there's a petition online to stop the organ.
Did you sign a petition?
I didn't sign it.
I'm surprised.
There was
Come on, I'm not gonna do that. I don't want no emails from change.org.
Petition online to stop the organ?
Yeah.
Where at? No, I'm joking.
All right, so this week, we sometimes will touch on the NFL, Pooch, and this week it was a story that caught my eye, it caught Brian's eye, because I believe, I don't remember who texted it to who, but we spoke about it, and I think Brian texted it to me, actually, and we saw that Patriots owner Robert Kraft.
Was this one of those 9 a.m. texts where you just wake up and you're like, oh, Brian sent me something else today?
Well, I mean, that happens every day, so the days just kind of get confused together. I don't even know anymore. No, this was the middle of the day. I remember because I knew where I was. Robert.
I knew where I was. He wakes up out of bed and he doesn't know where he is.
Some days I don't know where I am. You can take that however you want. Robert Kraft visited rap artist, Philadelphia native Meek Mill, who, as many people know, is now serving some jail time because of violating his probation for what put him in jail this time? He violated the probation by doing what again? Something stupid.
He riding a bike in the state of New York.
Riding a bike in the state of New York.
It's either that or he left.
It was something minor that nobody should be doing 2 to 4 years for. That's the point.
Yeah.
Kraft visited Meek Mill, called him, quote, a wonderful young man, and called for his release.
This is shocking.
Now, I didn't see this coming.
This is shocking.
Robert Kraft.
Of all people.
Standing up for Meek Mill.
I mean, and he pushed for his release from prison.
So here's my thing. I'm going to let you guys say what you have to say.
Don't steal my point.
Maybe I am. So my feeling was like, yo, what? Secondly, I ended up having the feeling that I saw Jamel Hill tweet about that I was like, oh, that's exactly what I'm feeling. How does this guy, Robert Kraft, is now standing up for Meek Mill when he was against the guy who was taking a knee for a protest for people in Meek Mill's situation?
Oh, that wasn't even...
And Colin Kaepernick.
That wasn't even where I went.
Oh, that's not where you went.
No, surprisingly. Where I went was
we're not on the same...
Where he was pushing for his release from prison, I'm like... You could text your homeboy that's in office, the president of the United States, and just be like, "Hey, yo,
man, 45 ain't getting Meek Mill out of prison."
Well, he allegedly got the LiAngelo Ball.
No, he didn't.
Nets owner Joseph Todd.
Pooch, you saw this? What do you make of this?
Man, listen, I think you hit on the nail right on the head. Like, it's just, this is somebody that supported Donald Trump, that literally wouldn't bring on Colin Kaepernick on his team, and now he's going there. Is this a publicity stunt, or does he actually want to do the right thing?
Let me say this. I can't specifically say that Kraft was against Kaepernick, but I can say he's part of the larger ownership group that didn't necessarily support Kaepernick or the players that had that protest, and haven't given him an opportunity to play back in the league. That much I can say. I always want to be clear.
What is it with Robert Kraft and first Meek Mill, he wants to get him out. Now there's rumors of him wanting to draft Lamar Jackson. Is he a changed man?
I have no comment on that. I'm silent for the first time. Is he a changed man? You're asking if he's a changed man because he visited Meek Mill? No.
Would he vote for Hillary today in a re-election?
No. I'll tell you what I think about Robert Kraft. I think he's damn sure voting for Trump in 2020. I think that's for sure. Yeah.
His quarterback had a "Make America Great Again" hat in his locker.
So no, I don't think. Sorry, Pooch. No, I don't think he's a changed man. I don't think he's a changed man. Speaking of all that, and I want to get something about Lamar Jackson to you, Brian. I'm gonna say that for the third segment, but I do have a question for you about Lamar Jackson. You brought something up I want to talk to you about. Eric Reid, who we also know took a knee with Colin Kaepernick during the protest when this started. He just doesn't have a job. He's one of the best safeties in football. He doesn't have a job right now.
Gee, I wonder why.
Why do you think so, Pooch? You want to tackle that?
I don't know too much on the situation.
You have experience with not being able to get an opportunity because of being associated with certain people. Yeah, you weren't taking a knee, but you were associated with some people that certain people thought weren't desirable, and then they stopped you from having opportunity. How do you feel about this when you see somebody who didn't have opportunity, like Kaepernick or Eric Reid?
I'd like to see him do what Colin Kaepernick did, and that's try to better the situation. I mean, I understand that it's probably really frustrating that he can't get an opportunity right now, but the only way that we can make this better is by improving ourselves and taking action. So Colin Kaepernick may not have played football last season, but the impacts that he made on the world were so much more important than being on a team. And I would love to see Eric Reid do something similar if he doesn't get signed by somebody. So, I mean, that's all I could really say about that. Everything else, it's just everything in a nutshell. It's really such a shame, but at the same time, again, I'd love to see him really speaks to people and makes sure that this doesn't happen again.
The NBA is so much better at handling this. Just so much better at handling these things, because it's like you only get this with the NFL, with Major League Baseball. You don't really get this with hockey because everybody's white, so nobody, really is out here protesting. So, you know what I mean?
You're also getting a lot of dudes from. No, you're also getting in hockey too. You're also getting a bunch of dudes from different countries too.
Well, actually,
right?
no.
That's actually
wrong.
I'm
actually wrong.
That's actually true. There's a lot of white men from
PK
other culture.
PK Subban is one of the most hated players in the NHL
I have a PK Subban story at some other time.
They think. I want to know about
Not
this.
with him. I met some fans of the Canadians before he was traded that explained some stuff
to me
you
told me
surrounding
about this.
racism.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was.
Let's go off on that tangent. With PK Subban, he was like,
some tangents.
Yeah, I don't care. He was better for the podcast. He's one of the best players in hockey, right? I don't even know that much about hockey, but I know he's one of the best players in hockey because everybody tells me he's one of the best players in hockey.
Brian knows nothing.
and he celebrates and things like that. He's very charismatic. Has a certain energy about him, and people just don't like that because he's that black dude in hockey. You know what I mean? How do you think people felt about Anson Carter? Yeah, I'm name dropping now. Anson Carter when he was a hockey player, when he was with the Rangers.
They liked him.
Yeah.
I don't know. He turned that into a gig on NBC now. I know he does commentary there now. So
yeah, he does.
He got liked enough. Well, or he could just be filling the roles, the token black guy that they had to put on TV to make it look like their sport was more diverse. Now I thought about it.
You know about affirmative action. Come on, man.
Yeah, I really don't know. I don't know that climate. I do think the point you make about
hockey, maybe
for the most part about there being some white people from all different places in the world and it being a little bit more than just typical white America in that sport here. Right. I do see that there's some difference in that. That's why I think there's some differences there from baseball that we see in baseball and things that'll annoy me there. But who knows?
Anson Carter just, kind of survived their Rooney Rule. Was that what it was?
I don't know enough about the climate to say like what people felt.
Me neither. I don't know anything.
So I don't even know. All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about the Nets season in review. My New York Knicks fired their head coach. I just lost a lot of sleep over that. No, I did not. And the upcoming NBA...
Wait. I asked you last night. I was like, yo, do you want to talk about Hornacek today? You were like, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't... What I do want to hear from... I do got to get, before our producer Matt has to get up out of here, I do want to hear Matt... Matt, let's do it right now. Matt, talk. The voice of Matt.
Talk about what?
Our producer Matt. First of all, you're Jazz.
Yes.
4th seed in the West.
5th seed.
Yeah, Pooch. He's a legitimate. He's
5th seed.
5th seed.
He's
That's
a legitimate Utah
5th seed
Jazz
in
fan.
the West.
So you're a D. Will fan.
Yes,
huh?
they do exist. Amazingly enough.
A little bit.
This had to be a very happy year for
And
you.
Joe Johnson.
I think we can officially not say anymore that you don't miss Gordon Hayward.
I don't.
I have to.
I made
put
a
that.
shirt and it's selling online. Like I don't miss Gordon Hayward. So
Selling.
What's the shirt?
it says I don't
That
miss
legal?
Gordon Hayward.
I don't miss Gordon.
And it's a silhouette of Donovan Mitchell dunking. So
That's
it says
amazing.
45.
That's a
I
dope
don't-
shirt.
Yeah,
It's a dope
That
shirt.
is dope.
Yeah.
Two things.
Okay.
First round matchup, you will play the
Oklahoma
City.
OKC.
Yeah.
You guys don't have the home court advantage. How excited are you? Do you think you can win?
Yes, I do believe we can win.
You're not going to.
Okay, Brian. We were in the 5th seed last year, and we beat the
Team
Clippers.
shatter over
And the
here.
Clippers had a team that they had players leaving. I think OKC's trying to prove that Paul George is trying to stay. So it's kind of a similar situation. We've been pretty hot recently on the road.
You think Donovan Mitchell could guard Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
You're out of your mind.
All right.
He's going to kick it in. The kid's going to kick it in. I say Jazz in 6.
Gonna kick it in.
Jazz in 6.
Wait, is he even gonna guard?
You heard it here
Is he
first.
even gonna? Or is it gonna be?
You heard it here first.
They don't put Rubio on Westbrook.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna.
He's a better defensive player.
They
It
better
Yeah,
put
he is.
Donovan Mitchell on.
doesn't matter who you put on Westbrook, but that's all another story.
Okay.
Oh, because he can guard himself by shooting
You're
6
going to
for
ask me
24.
Rookie of the Year?
Yes, that's the next thing we're going to go to. Rookie of the year. First of all, can we give some credit to Donovan Mitchell?
Yes.
Oh.
Ben Simmons, for people who don't know, Ben Simmons came out and confidently said
Yeah.
he was going to win Rookie of the Year.
That does not look good.
Some people feel that way. I'll give my feelings on that at another time.
Jared Allen.
Donovan, stop it. Donovan Mitchell had the best
Allen.
clapback of the year.
Frank
He didn't even
Ntilikina.
say anything.
That hoodie.
He walked in with a
Yeah,
hoodie.
2 hoodies.
That had the I didn't see the second one. That had the definition
The
of
second one,
rookie on it.
Yeah.
the second one
Yeah.
says rookie
Yeah,
question
yeah.
mark. It's in red.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
It's great.
I think I want it.
How did you feel about that?
I know you want
and
it.
Will
I do
Donovan,
want it.
how do you feel about his clapback? And will Donovan Mitchell win Rookie of the Year?
His clapback was very classy, in my opinion.
Classy.
If it's not on Twitter, then like it's
cares about
whatever.
class?
But like, yeah. The clapbacks, I don't really care about the drama off the court. I like to see the game on the court. But in terms of Rookie of the Year, I still don't know what they categorize or like what they look at to determine Rookie of the Year. Are they looking at numbers? Are they looking at what a player did for a team? throughout the
Simmons
whole
is also
season?
in a bigger market.
That's
so,
also
yeah.
I mean that's why Gobert was taken away Defensive Player last year, which I'm still angry about.
Ooh, small market bias.
Pooch,
Exactly.
what do you think? What do you think? Donovan Mitchell
Or Ben
Simmons or Jared Allen or Frank Ntilikina?
Stop it. Just stop.
No.
Just stop.
Milton Doyle.
I gotta be honest. I think Ben Simmons is.
Yeah,
is,
that's what I
is-
believe as well because that's how I feel the NBA is going to play towards. My case is that Mitchell deserves Rookie of the Year just because after Hood got injured in the first 3 games because gastritis injuries or whatever like that, Mitchell came in, filled those shoes in, and he just turned the team around. He became the person that I think he thought he would be, and he just became this player that everyone was like, oh, who's this kid on Utah? And you had this stretch in the early of the season that Rubio was hurt, Gobert was hurt, Favors was in and out, Hood wasn't even there, but Mitchell was still there leading that team as a rookie 20 games in.
But
And
you can argue that Ben Simmons might not even be the best player on this team.
that was an
It's a-
argument.
it's
Yeah.
a
I've
legit
seen around.
argument.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And he's not.
no, I don't think he is. But
He might be in 2 years, but right now he's not.
yeah.
Well,
But
yeah.
Plus, he also had a year to sit and watch.
if he doesn't win, I'm not gonna be angry. I just like where the kid's head at, and his head was. We have Coach of the Year. We have a potential. He says Defensive Player of the Year, and I'm in the playoffs. He's like, Rookie of the Year. That's not even on my mind.
You don't think the Rookie of the Year
kind of is?
You don't think the Rookie of the Year should be Andre Ingram?
Okay.
Yo. Now you're just trolling. Man, thank you, man. We're excited.
Yeah.
You said Jazz in 6?
Jazz in 6.
Confident Jazz in 6.
Thunder in 7.
I mean, I'm just taking it as it goes.
I think it's going to be a good series.
I hope the Jazz
watched,
win.
I actually watched every game of the two teams play this year. I watched every game those two teams play.
Yeah.
And I texted Matt through a bunch of
bunch
them.
of
Making the most of that league pass.
Yeah, that's what
I'm an NBA
exactly what I
junkie.
texted him.
I always watch League Pass.
That's exactly what I texted him. I say, yo, Dex, you really making money off that league pass.
Yeah. I'm going to get my
Watch
money's
all
worth.
those games.
Y'all act like I'm playing out here. I'm getting my money's worth.
Like, you should.
I should.
What's the matter?
All
You
right.
got a fire stick, Dex?
You got a fire stick?
You damn right I do.
So you, we
There
can't
you
be
go,
saying that in the
okay.
public.
I'm sorry, man.
Let
I'm
people
sorry.
know.
Come on.
If you get no,
Yeah, you're right.
you
You're
get
right.
no
No,
illegal-
I have
you
league
get no
pass. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, you got league
Yeah,
pass.
nah.
You know what I'm talking- I don't want people coming
Yeah,
for you,
nah,
man.
I don't know.
Jazz
You got
is-
enough
I don't know what you're talking about.
First game is at Sunday.
First
and
game is Sunday.
Sunday 7:10, I believe.
You ready?
On ESPN.
I will tune
I
into
can't
that.
I'm ready.
We gotta watch a game together.
I will tune into that the way I did not tune into WrestleMania.
I'll be live tweeting
Yo,
like WrestleMania.
WrestleMania was it was too long.
We don't care. We're going to break. We're
That's
talking
what
when we
Matt
come
do.
back.
You don't care. You don't care.
Nobody cares.
A lot of
We're-
people-
A lot of people care. You know how much money they made off that event? And I was really disappointed.
Oh my
And
god.
then, Brock Lesnar
Good
retains
thing I
the
have an
title.
inside source that just gives
Pooch,
me a
you
free
care about
sign.
wrestling?
No.
There we go. Yeah. Glad to know there's somebody with
I
sense.
used to. Not,
Yeah, I used
Take
to when
note.
I was a child.
Everyone take note. Let's go Mets.
All right. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Nets season, the rest of the NBA playoffs, whether we think Matt's Jazz can do anything. We'll talk about all that when we come back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
Sports Guru is the place where fans talk about sports via video. All videos are 60 seconds or shorter. Sports Guru makes the video look more professional and fun by adding automated on-screen graphics. You can follow your favorite sports by team, trending, new, or by people you follow, and more. Type in the title of your video and it will auto-magically, that's right, auto-magically go into your on-screen graphics. It's just that simple. Tag your teams and publish sports. Let's talk sports.
It ain't hard to tell where to get the latest merchandise from Backpack Broadcasting. Gear is now available via TeePublic. Visit the Backpack Broadcasting TeePublic online store to get shirts, hoodies, mugs, and phone cases. Represent your favorite Backpack Broadcasting shows, including the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, and of course, the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Check out the special offers for our podcast listeners at http://t.pub/lic/backpack. Get in the game with your official Backpack Broadcasting gear today. All right, welcome back to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter Henry here, Bryan Fonseca with our guest, Anthony Puccio, Netsdaily reporter.
And the Associated Press. Don't forget about that.
And AP. Yeah, I forgot to shout you out to AP. Let's get into it real quick with the Nets. Nets this season.
Yeah, Netsdaily fans are probably like, yo, when are you guys going to talk about Net? I'm like, yo.
Yeah, here's your segment. You got your segment.
We got timestamps, all right?
Yeah, you'll know when to check in. Nets this year,
But watch the whole thing.
28 wins on the season.
8 wins
You
better?
know, I thought from watching a lot of it, they were more competitive this year than last year. I know people say, oh, it's another tough year. Nets have been losing. A lot of fans weren't showing up. Your thoughts, Pooch, on the Nets this season?
Look, your record is always what it says it is, right? But
Yeah.
but at the same time, when I watch this team, 28-54 just doesn't seem accurate, right? Like they played 50 games, or I should say 49 to be exact, where they were within 5 points in the last 5 minutes of the game.
Damn.
That's more than
You
half
know,
the games they played this season.
They won
Damn.
they won 18 of those. So, you get at least 10 more of those, your high 30 win team. And, with that, they also lost 18 games by 6 or less, 14 games by 5 or less. So, to me, for a young team that lost Jeremy Lin, that lost D'Angelo Russell so early, I think this is a huge sign for them going forward. And look, again, 28 wins is nothing to be, so happy about or celebrating about. But at the same time, during a rebuild, when you have these young guys and you face these adversities where all these guys do go down, and the one thing that you're missing is finishing out games, I think you have a lot to look forward to, especially, you know, all these guys are new, not just the players, but
Right.
Kenny Atkinson and even the managerial staff like Sean Marks and them. So, you know, I think obviously 28-54 is tough on the fans, and you know, they keep bickering at me when I say that, you know, good things are ahead, but I really do feel like for a 28-win team, they were a lot better than their record showed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
I
you-
pretty much agree with that.
So you pretty much agree with that because you two guys were closer to the team than I was this year. I think the question that for people listening who maybe don't follow the Nets on a day-to-day, they might want to know. They look at some of the teams. I think a lot of people got to know who Spencer Dinwiddie was this year.
We knew before the season.
We knew before the season. We got to talk to him. A great piece you can watch from Backpack Broadcasting on the rise of Spencer Dinwiddie.
And
nice.
episode 3 of this podcast.
And episode
we'll keep
3 of this
plugging
podcast.
away here.
So he's been a friend of Backpack Broadcasting Programming.
Yeah.
But there's been other guys, too, that have developed on the team. You saw Jared Allen as a rookie play very meaningful minutes and
Rookie of the
quality
year.
minutes. Stop it, again. He's just plugging in away any rookie for Rookie of the Year. Karis LeVert, Ronnie Hollis-Jefferson. We were speaking about this before the podcast, how he took his game to another level this year, improved his shot, and I think that really helped him a lot.
Yeah.
Are those the reasons, and those players, and Bryan, you can chime in on this too, are those the reasons you say, hey, Nets fans, this is your reason to be excited about the Brooklyn Nets. You should come out and watch these guys. And are we adding D'Angelo Russell into this mix, or are we taking it out and not impressed by him?
I think yeah, you have to be encouraged by all of that, along with the fact, like, and Bob from Netsdaily, obviously, who runs the program.
Shout out to Bob.
Net
Windrum.
income.
The great Rob Windrums, a.k.a. Wolf Blitzer.
But he always talks about how young they are. I always talk about how you have them under control for at least another season. You know, Ronnie Hollis-Jefferson is going to be here next year, unless you trade him. D'Angelo Russell, same thing, is going to be here next year. Karis LeVert, you have him for a minimum 2 more years. You know what I mean? So all of these things taking into account, Ronnie Hollis-Jefferson became more of an offensive player this year. I think that's been the biggest surprise for me. It's just not that he improved, because I expected that, but just the way he did it, right? So we talked earlier today about when at Baggy Day we were talking about Baggy Day. I just called it what you called it.
No, because
That's what it
in
is.
football, that's what everybody
I say
says.
That's what they
bag,
call
not
it.
baggy.
That's
I
what it
don't
is.
know.
It's a
That's
baggy.
what it
It's
is.
called baggy
Baggy
day.
day.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I like baggy.
All right.
I don't like baggy.
At exit interviews, but what's it called? But at Bag Day, we talked about how Ronnie Hollis-Jefferson was somebody who started at the 4 all season for the first time
Yep.
of his career and really excelled in it, averaging at one point 15 points a game.
Yep.
And you saw during the season, he's taking the ball, he's turning and facing guys, doing little up fakes, herky-jerky moves, finishing inside, hitting a lot of his free throws, getting to the foul line a lot, hitting some mid-range jumpers. And he said today, like, one of the things he wanted to work on next year was shooting more three-pointers than mid-range jumpers.
Yeah.
So taking all that into account, I think I said before the season that they would be, if healthy, a 35-win team. Teams that, you know, it's rarely that they're ever fully healthy.
Yeah.
But with 28 wins, considering D'Angelo went down for a long time and Jeremy Lin goes down for the whole season, your 2 best players on the team coming into the season, you know, 28 is what it is. But I think they're closer to making the playoffs than people think. But that's not to say that they'll get there next year. I have to see what the roster looks like.
Yeah, there's a ways to go. Is there anything you'd like to, you know, Pooch, is there anything you would like to see the team do this offseason? Interesting offseason for the Nets. Still a lot of young players under control. Obviously, you got to see what they can do late with a late first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Anything you would like to see them do this year?
I'd like to see them add a stretch big. I mean, you know, the way their offense runs, it's set up to have 4 stretch players on the floor at all times because the ball is always swinging around the perimeter. So, you know, they didn't have that this season. They came into the season with Jared Allen, who was 19 years old, couldn't hit a 3. Well, he wasn't known as a 3-point shooter, still isn't. You had Tyler Zeller, who was a late-on addition.
Mm-hmm.
You had
You
had, you know, Timothy Mozgov, who really didn't play this season, and those are the only guys that were above 6'10". So they were getting killed down low, and they weren't hitting enough 3-pointers to make up for their, first of all, like, horror defense inside the paint. I mean, they were notorious for letting big men have career nights against them, and not even just like 20 and 10 nights. I'm talking like 40 and 17 type of nights. You know, so I'd really like to see them add a stretch big. somebody that could, at least if they're going to play that way and play to their strengths, you better get somebody that is going to fit that system. And I think that's really why we haven't seen Jahlil Okafor play that much this season, because he just doesn't fit that mold. But, you know, if he gets some time in the summer and the off season and tries to develop a 3-point shot, maybe he'll get in. But, you know, that's something that they definitely have to add. They have a lot of things that they have to add, man. They have a long ways to go. But I think what you asked Bryan before, the most important thing with the Nets is that Kenny Atkinson was hired here to develop players, and that's what you brought up.
Yeah,
guys like
we've seen it.
House,
He's done it. We've seen it. He's done it. Yep.
You know,
somebody's got to get credit for that.
How about a Joe Harris? You know, somebody who shot 41%.
Who's gonna get some money
get paid
from somebody?
He was, he was basically.
He wants to stay, but
he said
everybody
today
says he wants to stay.
Yeah,
I agree.
Until somebody shows him the money.
Yeah. I could get this much for being in a little city.
Yeah.
Because,
but you mentioned that, and there are these players that they have developed, and you can see that, and that's impressive with this team. The player that they traded for last year, trade that came for draft, D'Angelo Russell. You know, I don't know how you guys feel. This season was okay, and this was a guy myself who was very high on him before he was drafted into the league.
You wanted him to be a Knick.
Yeah, I did actually. I did want to be a Knick, but I'm very happy with Porzingis. Do you think? Are you guys hearing from the organization, people around him? Are they happy with D'Angelo Russell? He'll be up for a payday after this year. Do you think that they're happy enough to pay him? I mean, because that's what it comes out. You got to show me where the money is. As I said before, are they happy enough to pay him, or do we need to see another year of D'Angelo Russell to know if he is the guy?
I think we definitely need another year, especially since he was basically hurt this whole season. He didn't really have a full summer to really work with Kenny Atkinson and the coaching staff.
And he's also been hurt before that too.
Yeah,
that's true. Good point.
So, I think D'Lo's talent on offense is completely undeniable. Like his court vision is great. You see it. You know, he could shoot the lights out of the ball. He's very, very streaky, but his thing is inconsistency, and he needs to pick that up. And he's got to play defense, and he's got to stop turning the ball over so much. Yeah,
turnovers are huge.
But the thing is that the people inside the organization, the higher ups, they know that, you know, there are a lot of expectations on this kid, and this is his third season with a third new coach. And you know, if there's somebody that I think can take his game to the next level, it's Kenny Atkinson, because he's done a great job developing players. He's going to give it to you straight, and we saw that. D'Angelo Russell, he turned the ball over 2-3 times in the first 6 minutes against the Heat late in March, I believe. Yeah. And he was benched the rest of the game for Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie. So I think,
which a lot of people freaked out about.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, really? It's April.
I like that.
It's a thing.
I mean, not the freaking out. I like that.
No, it's a teaching lesson. It's something. Listen, we know D'Angelo has high expectations on him, but in order for him to get to that next level where they want him to be, the first step is buying into this team-oriented culture that they have. It's not a one-man show. That's why they only had 4 players that scored 30 or more points this season. You know, so it's about getting him to buy in. He's only 22 years old.
Yep.
And then getting a full summer under his belt, strengthening his legs, strengthening his upper body, limiting those turnovers, and fitting in with the offense. So the other day I spoke with him just off to the side, and I said, you know, what is it that you wanna improve on this summer? And he looked at me. He said, you know, I got to tell you, he's spoken so maturely this season. I'm really impressed with how mature he's been and embraced his role, even though things haven't gone his way. What he said to me was, I want to be, and he was like, I want to think of the right word. He's like, I want to be a point guard, but more importantly, he said, I want to be a lead guard. I want to be a leader. He said, you know, I think that's something that's really important. And obviously, as you guys both remember, on his way out of L.A., Magic Johnson said, you know, what I needed was a leader. And, you know, he may not admit it, but I think that's something that sticks with him. And I think it's not Magic that makes him want to be a leader, but I think it's the Nets that are starting to make him want to be a leader. A guy like DeMar Carroll pushing him in the locker room, a guy like Kenny Atkinson coaching him. I think right now he is set up for success. It's really up to him to really figure it out.
Get it done. Ball is in his court there.
Exactly.
So we'll see. Moving on from the Nets to the playoffs. The playoffs are upon us. We're recording this on Thursday, April 12th. Playoffs start Saturday, April 14th. One of my favorite days of the year. I wake up I'm gonna be happy on Saturday when I wake up because the NBA playoffs are starting.
It's like Christmas, baby.
It's one of those days. Like I love when the NBA season starts. I love Christmas Day for multiple reasons.
Weather's getting nice though.
Weather's getting nice. Yep.
Competitive teams.
All this stuff.
It's still damn windy outside. I don't know what y'all talking about.
But it's gonna be like 75 tomorrow.
Word?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Now I'm breaking weather on this podcast.
Oh, I'm going outside.
You just can't stay inside all day.
No, I go outside every day.
Dexter Henry, the weatherman.
Got me being a weatherman now.
By the way, the Nets should sign Anthony Tolliver. I'm just saying.
The Nets should?
Yes. That's a stretch big.
That's not a bad
I watched them this year. Who
with Detroit?
Detroit. Yeah. When the Nets were playing Detroit. And I was like, you know who the Nets need? I was like, they need that. And stop trying. I like Quincy. I like Quincy Acey a lot, and I like Dante Cunningham. But it's like, yo, you got to stop trying to.
They don't fit in today's
like
NBA.
Get an actual stretch big.
What
You know
about
what I mean?
what about like an Aaron Gordon?
Or draft Mo Wagner.
I'll tell you what. You brought up Aaron Gordon just there. It's going to be a very, very interesting player. Restricted free agent. Will be interesting to see what he has on the open market.
A lot of money.
I think the Magic are almost forced to have to resign him because of their incompetent drafting and signings over the last couple of years.
Why did they fire Frank Vogel so quick?
I don't know why they fired Frank Vogel. I can tell you what, Frank Vogel ain't the problem with the
They
Orlando
fired
Magic.
Jacques Vaughn too quickly too, and
Yeah.
Frank Vogel they brought him in.
I don't think Frank Vogel was the problem with the Orlando Magic. I think you could look at some of their draft picks. Alfred Payton not being good, Mario Hazonia kind of being.
Yeah.
He started playing better at the end of this year. Okay,
When you're called the European J.R. Smith ahead of the draft, I don't think.
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I like J.R. Smith.
Unless you're sliding into European DMs.
DMs. Yeah, he might do that a little too aggressively or party a little too much.
But Mario is someone that the Nets are definitely
European
to
you know
keep
what?
an eye
That's
on.
somebody you might keep take a flyer on because he seemed to be starting to figure things out late in this year. So that's a good thing you just brought up for the Nets.
Yeah.
You know what hurt them?
And who said it? You said Aaron Gordon, right?
Yes,
You said Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon. And that's kind of what I was getting to. He could be interesting. He's a tweener. You don't know if he's a 3 or a 4. I don't think he's really a 3 because he doesn't handle the ball well enough.
He was drafted
in
as
this
a
league.
three,
He's a
I think.
4.
He just doesn't guard 4s enough well. He was
Yeah.
drafted as a 3.
He's a tweener.
So you think the Nets will go try for him?
I think if the price is right, I definitely don't think they're going to offer him a max deal. And I don't think the
price is going to be right though.
No, and I don't think the Magic
think
would
the price
match.
would be right.
The Magic definitely would match a max deal, in my opinion.
I don't think they will either. I think they want a deal on their terms.
Yeah,
I think they probably not.
The Nets kind of.
But I can see how you're saying he could be a good fit. But if you believe in Rondé, do you really need him?
No, and that's the thing. Like, I believe in Rondé, and I also believe in the Nets having their own pick next year. So, like, why not rock with the squad that they just had?
I agree.
And you know what?
There's going to be no quick fix this summer if you're a Nets fan. I agree.
Just add like a couple veterans, or a couple. Like you're gonna have 3 draft picks.
Have some continuity. Do what you just did this season. See if you can squeeze out some of those close victories and close out the games. Yeah. If you win and you make it interesting, great. If you aren't a good team and bad things happen, then you have your own pick. You don't have to dwell on it.
Nets fans haven't been able to say for a while.
No big splashes this summer.
And you could move up in the draft.
It's possible. You never know. They could package
40 something.
They could package
maybe
some
throw
guys
on a contract.
We spoke about that before.
They could package some guys. Real quick on the playoffs, guys. Some of these matchups, I think it was a fantastic final couple of days of the season. Some of these matchups are broken up really nicely. I was wondering who's going to get the NBA TV series in the East. I thought it might be Toronto, and I see Toronto as the first NBA TV game. Toronto's the 1 seed in their NBA TV. Jesus, they don't get any respect.
They got to prove it.
And they have such a great fan base, man.
They do, but they're impassionate. But
and they got Drake. So.
Yeah,
but they have a fun team too. I feel like people want to see Lowry and DeRozan, don't you think?
Do they? Or
I don't know. They seem legit this year, man.
No, like here's the thing: is anybody saying think of it seriously? Is anybody saying
run into the TV?
I want to go see that. I want to watch the Raptors play.
I think this playoff series they're gonna
really
after not this playoff
I saw
series
people
after this,
saying that they think that Matty P's Wizards are gonna beat the Raptors.
Oh, they think. Listen, now talk about.
Matty P. Grab the mic.
I'm getting everybody's prediction in that. What do you think about that series? We'll ask Matty P first.
The Wizards
our
fan.
Resident Wizards fan.
Hello.
Matty P, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Good. Do you think the Wizards have any chance as the 8th seed to knock off the number 1 seed in the East and beat the Raptors?
I do.
How much of a chance are you giving them? 100% chance?
No, 100%.
Okay.
No, like an 85% chance.
Oh.
So you kind of go with what I said. I believe this was last week or the week before. You were not a believer in Toronto.
No, I'm not, because like let's be honest here. This has happened like for the past 3 years. Like they haven't been the number 1 seed, but like for the past 3 years they've been hyped up. Everyone's been like, "Yo, Toronto's sleeping. They're gonna go to the Eastern Conference Finals," and every year they screw it up. They don't even like get past the first round.
And the Wizards will.
Accurate assessment.
I mean, I hear you. So you like the Wizards, who've had a very disappointing season.
No, they had a very disappointing. I'm gonna be honest with you. I never expected them, even from the start of the season, to like get past at most like the first round, maybe the second round.
Huh.
Really?
Yeah, I
'Cause
did not like.
I remember, yeah, and it's funny because I remember like back when the season started, people were talking about them being like a 3 or a 4.
I didn't like the way.
You were skeptical.
I at most I saw them as like a 5, but
Right.
realistically I saw them as like a 6, 7, or an 8. Not an 8 seed, but I saw them as like a 6 or 7 seed.
So they're gonna sweep Toronto?
No, they're not. I mean,
Wizards and how much?
I mean, like realistically, I hope I wouldn't be surprised if they swept. But given past matchups, because they have played them in the past in the playoffs. But
Matt, the table is hot right now. That's a hot take. That's a hot take. Man. I can feel it.
Realistically, honestly, probably like it would go to like 5, 6 games. I don't think it's gonna.
And you
be
think the
quick.
Wizards are gonna win?
I think they could win.
Okay.
I do 100%. I haven't seen a lot of Toronto, so I'm not gonna suspend my belief and think the Wizards are gonna win. Like definitely, but I do think they have a pretty good chance of them actually
so
winning.
Dexter, let me ask you, how much better is Toronto really? Like in comparison to these last few years that Matt's talking about?
They're better because, as I said, I think I said last week.
Because
their bench,
I don't think they're.
I
that
think their
much
bench
better.
is better.
They are. But
The East overall is also better.
Yeah.
Let's also say
They're
that.
not giving enough
I
credit
do
for
think
that,
they're better. I think they play better. I think the ball is flown more. What I haven't seen, what scares me with Toronto is I think when they see Cleveland, something happens and they choke. I said this last week. I think they clam up against Cleveland, and I think there's just a different team.
Isn't that everybody though?
No, but they
well,
look,
apparently not.
they look scared.
Apparently not.
Like,
Yeah, maybe
like,
not.
I feel like Cleveland is just playing.
Spencer Dinwiddie had a career high against LeBron
Well, no,
James.
yeah, I feel the Nets are a team you could say played Cleveland hard multiple times this year.
Yeah.
I think Toronto. It's like I feel like Cleveland. They know that they're in their head. They're playing shook ones before they play them every game now. Like they look shook. Like it's. I just. What do you guys think about this series? Who do you got?
I have Toronto. We're talking about Toronto, Washington.
Yes, Toronto, Washington. We're gonna move on through a couple more.
Toronto's winning, but it's gonna be distant. Like I think it's gonna be 6-7, and then Cleveland's bouncing them in 5.
All right,
Or
go.
6.
Toronto, Washington. Who you got?
I'm saying Toronto in 6, man. I think we're underestimating how good Toronto
I
really
think
is.
I think Toronto in 6 too. I'm not.
They're
going,
losing to the Cavs next year.
Fred Van Vliet is
Don't
going to
disagree
be
with that.
Fred Van Vliet is going to be the MVP of the series because he's going to come in and lock
I
down
like Fred
John
Van Vliet.
Wall.
I like him a lot.
He's
He's
a
gonna
great.
lock down John
He is
Wall?
a great defender.
I like
He's
him
a
a lot.
great
I'm not gonna lie.
defender.
Look, Matty V's over here laughing.
Matty P hates that. Matty
we
P
all
hates
picked the
that.
Raptors. It's all right because Cleveland's gonna clean them out easy.
I mean, I don't.
Cleveland.
I don't disagree with you guys on that. All right, so Raptors, Wizards. Next series in the East, Celtics, Bucks. Who you got? Disappointing kind of year for the Bucks after their start. Celtics no Kyrie, but Brad Stevens has been masterful with the coaching.
Yeah.
Who you got? Brian's smiling, so I want to know what he has over here.
Milwaukee in 6. Yeah.
Y'all kind of feel you on that though.
Milwaukee
I'm
is
kind of feeling you on that though.
Because it's like you're gonna be on the road. You're gonna take one of these home games. They're gonna protect. Yeah, they're gonna win in 6 games.
I'm gonna say Milwaukee in 7.
I would have said. Remember, I was high on Boston
I'm
when
very high.
Kyrie was balling, but once
You know
Kyrie
what?
got out,
I don't know. You know what? I'm going Boston 7.
nah, I'm going.
I'm
Milwaukee.
flipping.
Milwaukee.
I'm going.
I was thinking about
I
this
flipped
last
my
night.
pick.
I was thinking
Boston
about this
7.
last night before I went to bed because I'm like, Dexter's gonna ask me about this on the podcast tomorrow, and I'm gonna be ready.
No, I
And
shouldn't
said,
have asked. You were ready.
I said Giannis is gonna average like 35 and 11 and 6 or something.
Pooch, we got
I got Boston in 6.
Boston in 6. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm going with Boston in 7. I think it's gonna be a good series, great series.
Y'all
though.
scared.
I'm going with Boston in 7. This is one of my more entertaining series. Sixers Heat.
Sixers and 7.
Sixers are winning. So let me tell you what scares me, guys.
Sixers and 7.
Sixers have won 16 games in a row heading into the playoffs. You know, when that happens, I'm like, something bad's going to happen now. Like, they're due to lose.
Yeah. Except in football.
Miami's been I'm not saying they're going to lose the series. I'm saying they might lose some games, get in trouble. Miami's been scrappy all year. I do think Philly's a more talented team. I'm going to say Philly in 5. But it wouldn't shock me if they lost like the
I
first
agree with
game.
that. I agree
Miami's
with that.
weird. Miami's weird. It's like I feel like even though they're not, Eric Spoelstra is one of these. Like I typically think that coaches in basketball, some of them get too much credit. Coaches in general, I think some of them get too much credit.
I think
We don't-
Spoelstra's a fantastic coach.
But
Yeah.
he legitimately
He gets the most out of his players. I think he's fantastic.
kind of
coach.
like what Kenny Atkinson does. But
Let's
anyway,
not go
like.
that far. I don't think Kenny Atkinson's good, but he's got to do more. Yeah,
He's
but I think
got- he's got
gets the
time.
most out of
But
it.
with Eric Spoelstra, he gets the most out of. I mean, look at the roster they had last year, where Deion Waiters was like,
And they were hot down the stretch.
one of their best players, and he's not even like a big part of why this team is like good this year. So, I don't know. I think Miami's gonna actually give them some problems. You'll see the youth from the Sixers at some points. I don't think the Sixers are gonna run right through them, but I do think that they're gonna beat the Heat and then go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
So Sixers and what?
7.
Sixers and
Wow.
7.
Yeah.
Wow, Miami winning 3 games. Go ahead, Pooch.
Yeah.
What
I'm
you
saying
got?
6 and 5 like you, Dex, man. I think they're they're a lot better than people. I mean, I don't even want to say they're better than people think because
Right.
they are getting that hype right now, and they're young, but
Weird
they're
things
gonna shine. I think they're gonna shine.
He's giving Miami 3 wins.
Yeah.
So okay, you were prepared for that one. All right, last series in the East, the 4-5 matchup,
Wait,
Cleveland.
are we not doing the whole playoffs? Or
Yeah, we're doing the whole. I'm going to West too.
Okay. No. I'm saying like to get to the finals.
No, we're just doing first round.
All right. Whatever.
Well, then I'll ask finals picks. I'll get to that.
Fine.
Cavs, Pacers, Cleveland with the 4th seed. I don't think it really mattered where they were seated. Pacers the 5, probably the most surprising team in the
You know
NBA
what I'm
outside
gonna
of
say.
the Cleveland. Who you got, Pooch?
I
Cleveland.
got Cleveland.
How many
It's
games?
really unfortunate for the Pacers because they've had such a good season.
Yeah, it's
Right?
gonna
Like,
end- and it's- the way you're looking at me is like, yo, it's gonna end real quick.
It's gonna end real quick, and Victor Oladipo had such a good season, and you want him to
Say
see
it,
some
Pooch.
type of
I know what you're
success,
gonna
but
say.
man,
Say it, Pooch.
Cavs in 4, man.
There you go, Pooch. That's right. I'm with Pooch. Cavs in
Man.
4.
Cavs in 4.
I
I
think
agree.
the Pacers are not going to win a game. I think there'll be one game that'll be really tight, and they'll be.
LeBron doesn't lose in the first round. Like I saw.
LeBron doesn't lose.
They say
in the Eastern Conference.
He didn't lose. He hasn't lost a game in the first round in like years.
Yeah.
Or some stat like that. I
It's
saw.
not happening
I
this
was
year. I'll
like,
tell you that
really?
much.
I mean, it could. Maybe Oladipo goes off one.
The Pacers did beat them once, and I remember watching that game.
I
On
think they're 3-1 against the Cavs this year, or something like that.
they are. No, they actually beat them
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
And I remember watching.
But that's the regular season.
I watched one
We know
of those
LeBron
games.
don't care about the regular season.
Yeah, one of those games
I
Cleveland
mean, he
blew a
cares,
lead.
but like
That-
sometimes.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be 4-0. That's what I'll tell you too.
So then that would leave Raptors versus Cavs and Sixers versus Bucks for me, Celtics for you guys. From there, I'm going Sixers. Cavs.
Look, I think the Cavs are coming out the East. I'm just going to say
I'm
that.
going Sixers, Cavs.
I'm with Dex.
and then I'm going Cavs.
I
coming
think
out the
Sixers
East.
Cavs will be a fantastic conference finals.
I
Though.
think Cleveland beats them in
6.
6.
Yeah. Okay. To the West. Rockets against the Timberwolves, who just got in on the last day of the season, knocking off the Nuggets, which was a fantastic game.
I saw that game.
Did you get to watch that, Pooch?
No, I missed it.
You didn't get to
I
watch
missed
that.
it. Nets were playing.
Dude, the Timberwolves
Nets
have,
Celtics, yo.
Yeah, I was
you were
covering
watching Nets Celtics?
it. I was covering it.
Oh, sorry.
I cover everything.
Pardon.
No, it's all right.
I was covering it what he was covering. Like, I was like, what are you doing? No, to Pooch, no judging. Man. You were all styling and profiling like Clyde Frazier out there?
No, I was sitting in my room just chilling. You know,
Oh, okay.
writing
No,
about
no.
the game. You know.
Okay, no.
Like,
You were
He's like,
working.
how do you think I get this change?
You were working.
My grandmother got
Do
me
you?
this. Right?
Shout out to Grandma. Do you give the Timberwolves any shot against the Rockets?
Absolutely not. No, no way.
Yeah, well,
I thought you were gonna like.
who has
like,
a
be
better
like,
chance to
no,
win a game,
no.
the Timberwolves against the Rockets or the Pacers against the Cavs?
I think the Pacers, honestly.
Really?
I think
You know why? Here's why. People are going to look at this and say Tom Thibodeau's a great defensive coach, but the Timberwolves are not a good defensive team. They are an awful defensive team,
You see that
especially
he
in
played-
transition.
Jimmy Butler played coming off the knee injury like 41, 42 minutes
that's another
yesterday.
thing.
Because Tom Thibodeau doesn't trust anybody else on the ball. Like, I trust him on the ball. I don't trust anyone else on that team.
Rockets in 4.
But this has been Tibbs' biggest problem throughout his whole career is that he's run his guys into the ground, and by
Yeah.
the postseason they're exhausted, and they're going up against the Rockets, which is one of the fastest paced teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to even be able to
And
run
the
the
style
same
of
gym.
play
with them.
doesn't.
It's just-
And if there's a team that you can't play poor defense against, it's Houston. I also think that Towns, Butler, Wiggins, like they're good enough to win you a game. But
So you're giving them a game?
no, because the styles they're good enough to, but the style I just think Houston's gonna just.
Houston in 4 for everybody. Everybody's got a sweep. All right, moving on.
And if we're wrong, so what?
I mean, nobody's gonna care. 2 versus 7. Warriors versus Spurs.
Sorry, Warriors in 4.
You know what?
If Kawhi Leonard comes back, then we'll
You know
have
what?
a longer series.
Yeah, Warriors in 4.
Is Curry missing this?
Yes, he's not playing.
Spurs are going to get one. The Spurs are going to
See,
get one.
I want to say the Spurs are going to get one, but I have this feeling they're not. I respect them. I'll be rooting for them.
But based off of who?
I think they'll have a game where they'll have a chance to get one.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't,
probably multiple.
but they have a guy who likes to disappear, LaMarcus Aldridge, at certain times and
Even
fade
though he's
away
been
all
better
the time.
this year.
Yeah, but I watched a game a couple weeks ago. I forgot who he's playing. I think it was Utah. It's playing Utah.
Yeah.
And he just disappeared
I saw that too. Yeah.
after the so,
Rudy Gobert, man.
I'm going to go with the sweep. I'm going Golden State sweeping. I hope that doesn't happen. You're going Golden State in 5?
Yeah, I'm going 5, but I can never count out the Spurs, man.
I understand. I
I
understand what
it's
you're saying,
like,
and I did
I know
want to
what
pick the sweep, but I just don't see the talent there. I
Me
think
too. I would love for the Spurs to push them though, because I'm tired of Kevin Durant.
I would love for Kawhi to just be like, you know what?
I'm coming
Spurs-
back.
Yeah, I'm coming
Yeah.
back,
I'd
and I'm
be hyped.
surprising the NBA.
They should just do that.
Before he gets traded to
How
Brooklyn,
great
that'd be
would
nice.
it would be
Yeah, right?
at 3 o'clock? Stop it. How great would it be at 3 o'clock?
The Knicks fan just came out of Dex.
I'm not, no. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad at that. I'm not even mad. I got scared for a second though. It would be great at 3 o'clock on Saturday if we saw Kawhi Leonard was playing. I'd be pumped. It's not happening though.
No.
Comes out of the
No,
tunnel
absolutely
like Willis Reed.
Yeah. Look at you bringing it back to the Knicks.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about Hornets. We're not talking about that. Portland Trailblazers versus the New Orleans Pelicans, 3 versus 6. I think this can be a fantastic series. I think this could be one of the best series of the first round.
I'm really high on Portland, man. It's really high on Portland. But Anthony Davis is.
I think
Andrew Holiday.
I think there's going to be some battles. I think it's going to go ball out. Who you got, Pooch?
I got Portland. In 7.
Okay.
I got 7.
I have Portland in. Damn.
What are you doing over
I
there?
would just say Portland is 7. Yeah. I'll go
All right.
7.
I'm flipping it on y'all. I'm going Pelicans in 7.
All right. All right.
I was gonna
Pelicans
say
in
Portland
7.
in 6, but I don't think they'll close.
I'm
it
going
out.
Pelicans in 7.
I think that'd be
know
great
they'll have to win a road game, but that will be interesting. Okay, I think it's going to be a fun
It's time
series.
for Lillard to make some noise, man. It's his time.
He's my favorite player in the Western Conference to watch.
Okay.
He's my
It's
favorite player.
it's his
The
time.
East is Kemba Walker.
My favorite player in the Western Conference has the 4 seed, Russell Westbrook. He's my favorite player to watch in basketball. Against the Jazz, Matt picked the Jazz in 6. I don't think anybody up here is
Unsurprisingly.
going to do that. Who you got, Brian?
I'm not gonna lie, and partially because of Matt, but also because I don't really care for the Thunder like that. I would like to see the Jazz win. I would like to see the Jazz win in 4, but that's not gonna happen. Russell Westbrook, I think, is overrated to some degree. I think
This will have to be another podcast topic.
I think Carmelo Anthony. I mean, we don't need to say anything more. You know what I mean? And with Paul George. I mean, at Oklahoma City, they have enough to really challenge some of the upper echelon teams in the West. I don't think they're going to do that, but I think they'll get past the Jazz in 7, and then they'll lose the next series.
I don't even think it gets that far. I think it's OKC in 5. I think they're going to play a lot better than they did in the regular season because they have the talent to do
I
it.
can agree with you. I will give the Jazz a game. I think it's OKC in 5. I think
Utah's going to surprise some people and push.
I still don't trust OKC's bench in going past that for the next round. And I think you're absolutely insane calling Russell Westbrook overrated. I think you're absolutely insane. I don't know what you poured in that cup over there.
I still think he's good. I think he's very good.
I think you're overrated.
I think he gets a little too much. I think he gets a little too much credit for the triple doubles and things.
Well, I think triple doubles is an overrated stat.
Yeah.
I think
triple
I
doubles.
think at least in
It's overrated
today's
stat.
NBA, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's overrated.
because everybody's doing it.
Right.
I
That's
think
another topic
it's
we'll have to
stat
get to.
padded.
Like
Yeah.
if we're going down, all right. If we're going down the list of guards, right, for best guards in the league that you want to build your team around with, he is not high on my list.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I don't.
We can
think-
have this draft.
We can have this discussion. It's not a discussion. I would just say, please don't hire Brian as your GM. That's what I would say.
Well, but you don't even know who I take ahead of him.
No, I don't really care.
All right, fine.
No, we're gonna get into this. This topic will be saved.
If the Thunder lose in the first round, me and Matt.
It's coming for me.
Me and Matt.
If you guys don't see me show up for a podcast, you know why. Yeah, I will not be happy
It's gonna
about
be
that.
me, and I'm gonna be like, "Yo, Matt, sit in this empty chair, real here."
Sit in this empty chair. That's what he might well have to do. Who's coming out the West?
Houston.
Wow.
Remember at the beginning of the year, I said that Golden State was, but Houston actually surprised me. Like Houston's legitimately surprised me enough to the point
You
where
believe in them.
Yeah. Although I think they'll beat Golden State at 7 in the Western Conference Finals. I want to see Portland like really take it to that gear that I feel like Damian Lillard really can
Going
get
to the finals?
No.
Oh.
I want to see them play. I would like to see them play Houston in the series. I would love to watch that. Portland and Houston, I feel like is a great matchup. I would love to see those two backcourts
They
go
couldn't
at
play
it.
till the conference championship. But
Yeah. But I think we're gonna get Golden State and Houston. I think Houston's gonna win, and I think that home field advantage is gonna help.
Pooch.
I'm saying Golden State the whole way. I think even with their injuries, without Steph Curry, you still have Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, even guys like Andre Iguodala coming off the bench. I mean, the continuity is there.
Yeah.
Same coaching staff is there. Everything. I think they're a revolutionary team in our time.
I don't think anybody's beating Golden
That's-
State.
yeah,
I think
it's just-
I do think when they play Houston, I do think Houston will take them to 7. I think it'll be their toughest series they've had in the last 3 years, outside of the second one with the Cavs. I do think
Which
that
they lost.
which they lost.
Yeah.
I do think that will be a fantastic series with a shot, but I think they'll find a way to win that road game
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. I hope we're all enjoying that around Memorial Day weekend.
They've been there too. That's what's gonna help them. I don't know. I think Houston messes with the math a little too much, where they take all these threes. They're great at it. I feel like for once, it's actually gonna carry over because they have the level of talent that you need necessarily to carry that over.
We'll see, man.
Even though Mike D'Antoni, I don't think he's he's proven that his teams kind of like fall apart in the playoffs at some point. But I think this year, with Harden, with Chris Paul, it's going to be a little different.
Tell you what, James Harden's got to show up. We'll see. All right, so the playoffs start Saturday.
But
That should
who you have winning the championship?
be Golden State.
Yeah.
You
Golden
too,
State.
Pooch?
Golden State without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And Brian, why are you smiling like that over there? Because you're thinking about picking Cleveland.
I think Cleveland could take Houston.
Okay.
I think
Brian has had something different to drink in his cup today over there.
water.
We don't know
It's
what it is.
water.
I'm not so sure about that. But I'm not going to name any names of anything because they do not sponsor us. So that is that. Pooch, man, we want to thank you for coming on and talking
Yes,
a bunch
sir.
of basketball with us.
No,
We
guys.
appreciate it.
Guys, I appreciate both of you
Yeah.
guys.
You know
It's
what
been
you
great.
you
it's
know
a
what
long
you are,
time coming.
You know what you are? The first person. You were the first person on this podcast
That's Sicilian?
to wear. That's true. And to wear a full suit.
Yeah.
Well,
Somebody is one.
Ian
Moke
Begley.
but Ian didn't wear his.
No, he didn't have the full
Moke
suit.
had a blazer on.
Yeah.
You were the only person to rock a full suit, and you look like you're ready to go travel to Miami.
That's my MO, Dex.
There you go.
I'm suits.
Yeah,
down in
yeah.
Brooklyn.
He said,
There you go.
Yo, yesterday he goes, I'm wearing the suit, right? And I
Yeah.
just was laughing.
It wouldn't be right if he did it.
I didn't
Yeah,
know. I
it just didn't feel
legitimately said,
right.
I'm like, I don't know, because it might be hot in this room. You know what I mean? You're gonna have the thing, but
Nah, man, this is
you got
all
through
right.
it.
yeah. This is what I do,
There we
man.
go. All right. You
Dress
can-
good, you feel good.
You
That's
can,
it.
that is true.
Play
That is
good,
true.
You know?
You can check out Anthony Puccio's work on Netsdaily.com. You can also check him out with the AP. Follow him on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
At a pooch,
@apooch.
like the dog.
So
POOCH.
Like the dog.
He does it
DMs are open.
for some people. He does a great job. We'll see more of him stuff. You'll see stuff with him through Netsdaily in the summer. Same for Bryan, and hopefully me getting back myself into some video stuff. That is a wrap for
Yeah.
episode 26.
Hopefully we'll fix
of the
this
podcast.
background.
Hopefully next time you do not have to look if you're watching this podcast of a black background, and you will see something that says "Ain't Hard to Tell."
Or we'll just be at a different location.
Or it
Houston
could
is
be,
7, by the way.
or it could be.
I changed my mind.
man.
Houston is 7.
Or it could be that. Last thing I'll say before I go, to the New York Knicks, hire Mark Jackson. That's a wrap for episode 26 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. We'll see you when we're back with the podcast. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Yeah, I'm going to be waffling on my phone.